And in this video shows you how what it's required for the lab2, the hand grip. And what we have is the lab quiz mini. We have the hand diameter, a soft ruler for measuring your hand size, a squeeze to fatigue your hands if you need it, and a dexterity test too. And also you will require a Logger Pro installed PC. Following is how to set up the sensors. First, you're going to take your lab quiz mini and having this cable pop into the micro USB port on this side and the other side to the PC. And then once you see the lights turns to green, once you see the lights turns to green, means the connections are okay. Now take your hand diameter, that thermometer, connect to one of the channel, and you should see the force display on the Logger Pro screen, and then give it a squeeze test, and you should see the force change. Then that means your setup are good. The next step is to set up the data recording parameters. So what you're going to do is you collect the experiment, select data collection, and then click on continuous data collection. Otherwise it will only collect the duration you specify here, and then change the sampling frequency to 100 and click done. After we have the software and then hardware set up, now we can perform the task 1, which is measure the hand size and then the maximum voluntary contraction for the hand grips. Now I'm showing you how to measuring the hand length and the size of your hand. We have this soft ruler, and then the length we want to measure is from the base of your palms to your longest finger. So what I'm showing here is you put on your base of your palms to this ruler and then measure it. So what's the rating? It will be 18 centimeters, and then the circumference is you measure from here excluding your thumb, and then wrap it here, and with the rating, the close rating will be like 21.5. After you measure all the hand size for all your group members, now we move on to measure the maximum voluntary grip force using the hand. The hand that monitor, we set it up, and the Logger Pro software. So for your this task is for the dominant hands and the non-dominant hands. So let's start with the dominant hand. So what you're going to do is try as hard as you possible to squeeze here, the grips area, and then start to collect, and then you try it hardest and stop. So the point is you need to keep the contraction as short as possible, but as maximum as possible. So that will be the data looks like. And the next step is to save it. You're going to click File, not save as, save as, and then find where you want to save. For example, on the desktop, create a new folder. For example, I'm group 1, missing the R here, and give it a name, Jeff dominant hand maximum voluntary grip, and save. And also I recommend you export the raw file to CSV, which is easier to analyze. So I'll give it the same name, save. And then for recording the next recording, you don't need to close the window, close the software. You can go to the experiment, select clear last run. In this way, you won't lose any setup and then calibration. Now we move on to your not dominant hand. Doing the same, and then let's click collect, and then you squeeze your hand and off, stop. And then the same way that I just showed you to save this file, save as, no dominant hands, save, and then export to CSV. Not dominant hand, save. All good. So this is the full producer for one participant. Now you need to repeat this procedures for all your group members. This is the end of task 1. Now let's continue to task 2. So let's clear the last run, and so task 2 on your lab handout, it's about finding out the maximum grip and pinch, and then how gloves reduce the maximum force, and then finally you'll fatigue your hands, and then use one of the dexterity test tool to figure out how fatigued your hand is. Now let's begin. So first, you're going to record bare hand maximum voluntary contraction, pinch, and grips. So because you have done all your group members for recording the maximum voluntary force of grip, so you don't need to repeat that again. You just need to find at least 2 volunteers and then carry out the maximum voluntary page force, just like what we've done. But instead of grip here, we're going to pinch the smaller area above. Let's start with the dominant hands first. So you click collection, and then you find you page the small area as much as possible, and then stop. Next will be save the file. It is the exact same procedure with a different name. So click save as, and save to where you want to save it in the folder. Dominant hand page. Save, and then export to CSV. Save. Cool. Next will be the dexterity test for your bare hand, using bare hand before fatigue. The example it shows you here is using the dexterity test kit, but there's other options you can choose. How to use this kit is select that off, the cover off, and you will see spacer, washer, and pen. You have 2 possible ways to evaluate this test. First is give a certain amount of time and then test how many pairs you can complete. And then the second method is giving a certain amount of set and then record how long it will take to complete, like for example 10 set, how long it will take to assemble this 10 set and then reassemble this 10 set. But keep in mind, you need to keep it same before and after the fatigue for the way you measure it, not the order you to complete a kit. So let me show you what I mean. So I will choose recording a time, how long it will take to complete the first row with a set of a pen, a spacer, a washer, and another washer, and then disassemble it one by one. A spacer, another spacer, oh sorry, washer, and another spacer, and a pen. That's a complete one cycle. Cool. With a stopwatch, let's start. And do not lift your forearm on the table. you can only move one piece at a moment. Now we disassemble it. Done. So it takes 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Now let's move on to next step, which is wearing gloves and then determine the maximum voluntary pitch and then grip force. Start with the latest gloves, which is the rubber yellow gardening gloves. And what you're going to do is you're going to pitch there for one recording and grip here for one recording. Let's start with one pitch. Cool. Stop and save it. After saving it, continue to record the grip force, clear last run, start to record, and then grip. Stop and save it. And next you will repeat the same procedures for medium gloves, the little thicker work gloves, and then for the heavy wielding gloves. Because the procedure are exactly the same, so I will skip it. All right, now let's continue to fatigue your hands with gloves, and then let's start with the lightest garden rubber hands. First thing first, we record those maximum voluntary force, and then you're writing somewhere, but here is I showed here. The lightest, my grip force, the 100% is about 327. So 80% will be 261 newtons. That's the value I'm going to hold as long as possible. And then the 10% threshold below 80% is about 70%. So 70% of my maximum 327 is about 229, which means I will hold my grip force for 261 as long as possible until it less than 229, which means the end of the experiment. Let's begin it. So let me show you. First, wearing the gloves, and then we close it, and now we click collection, and then we grip the hand diameter to 261, which we can read from about here, 261. And then for as long as possible. And until it blows to all right, that's the end. And we stop recording and then save this file. And you can stop. Go. The next step is we move on to pinch. So we're going to clear last run, and our pinch, my pinch force maximum is about 142, and I need to hold at 114 until 99 newtons. So click start, pinch the area to 114, where we can see here, and then until it loads, then 100 or 99. This could take a while. Okay, stop. After recording, after the pinch recording, this is the end of the lightest glove. Now we're going to move on to medium gloves and then the heavy gloves, but I will skip in this video because they are exactly the same procedures. Cool, after we fatigue the hands with 3 gloves, now we need to carry on the dexterity test for fatigue. Similar method to use this cane. Select to open the cover, and we have a timer, and then the different things between the fatigue dexterity test and the normal one is we need to have a different order, but we keep using the same method to evaluate. The method I'm using for the normal one is I play assemble for a roll and then recorded how much time to assemble a roll and then disassemble a roll. So we keep using that same, but with a different procedure order. So this one, the order will be pin, a washer, and spacer, and another washer, rather than the previous one, which is the pin, spacer, and 2 washers. The purpose is we want to minimize the learning by the volunteer. Now we start. Cool, and then disassemble those. Stop. And then this is the end of the dexterity test for the fatigue hand. As you see, it takes longer than the previous normal one, which kind of represents the hand's fatigue. We lost some attention and then accuracy for your movement. As you can tell, there is a lot of mistake I'm making compared to the normal one before. So that always shows the fatigue effect. Cool. The next step is to record the maximum voluntary contraction force for grip and then pinch after fatigue with 3 gloves. with the same procedures, we're going to do recording here, and we collect and we grip it to the maximum value we can get and stop, and then save as maximum given name, dominant hands, maximum voluntary force, fatigue, and save. And then export as 6V, and we're going to do grape fatigue. Cool. And then continue with pinch, clear last one, collect, and then pinch and stop, and save as where's the T? Pinch, save, and then export as 6V. Page fatigue. Save. Done.